Female Voice podcast, the show where we champion women in business and the incredible female founders shaping the UK's economy. I'm Roxanne, and each episode we dive deep into the stories, struggles and successes of trailblazing women who are redefining entrepreneurship and the ecosystem that supports them. But this isn't just about storytelling, it's about impact. Women-led businesses contribute billions to the UK economy each year, yet they still face significant barriers when it comes to funding, visibility and support. That's where we come in. Today, we're going to hear real insights, practical advice and engaging conversations that challenge the status quo. So whether you're a founder, an aspiring entrepreneur or someone that believes in championing women, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to amplify voices that are helping to change the game for female founders. And I'd like to welcome to join me today Marie Hall, who is one of 3 regional heads of UK Export Finance. UK Export Finance in 2023 provided £8.8 billion worth of support to UK businesses on their export journey. It's a real privilege for me to have you with me today. Thank you, Marie, for joining me.
No problem, Roxanne. Nice to be with you.
Thank you very much. So if you'd like to start to share your story really, so how did you get involved in UK Export Finance?
Okay, so I guess I've been a career banker really for sort of 25 years. I was at Barclays for 20 years, I did a variety of roles. And in my last sort of 7-8 years there, I was an area manager within Business Bank. So I had quite a lot of experience of dealing with businesses. I actually left Barclays and I went to Handelsbanken for 6 years, and there I was a corporate manager. So a really hands-on role again, dealing with businesses. I guess I had itchy feet a little bit because I've never had any kids. So I'd never had a break, never had maternity leave. And then COVID hit. And I think as with many of us during COVID, you kind of, maybe we had a rethink on the way that we were living our lives and what we were doing. So I decided to take a career break, which I did for 8 months. I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed it. And yes, I was a lady that lunched. But then I started to get itchy feet, and there's only so many coffees and lunch meetings you can do. And I noticed on LinkedIn that UK Export Finance, who, to be fair, I didn't know a lot about at that time. They were recruiting for an export finance manager in South Yorkshire. And so I thought, this is great, you know, working with businesses, but away from the banking arena, if you like.
Yeah.
And you know, the previous kind of quite stressful career that I'd had over maybe 25, 26 years. So I applied and I was successful. So in my first year at UKEF, I was an export finance manager for 12 months, as I said, on South Yorkshire patch. Hugely enjoyed it, dealt with the export of everything from cheese to motorbikes to even hay. Who knew that you can actually export hay? And then a year in, a regional head opportunity came up and I decided to apply, and I've just gone into my 3rd year of that role now.
Brilliant. I mean, obviously, being a woman in the finance industry comes with its own challenges separately as well that we can both relate to, that we could probably talk about all day, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, what in particular, what draws you to helping female-led businesses?
I think, well, I mean, at UKEF in our business plan, objective 2 of our business plan is really all around increasing the support that we give to SMEs. And then for the first time this year, we've got a new objective, and it's objective 3, and it's around serving, inclusive trade and underserved groups. And at the minute for us at UKEF, we're focusing on women-led and women-owned business and black and ethnic minority-owned business. I know that the underserved category, you know, it can go as far as like disability-owned business, ex-military personnel-owned business, which I know that your husband, Paul Goodman, is heavily involved with. But for us at the minute, it's women and black and ethnic minority. In my banking career, particularly in Barclays, I developed an incredibly strong female network. And that was very much encouraged by Barclays at that time. I took that network into Handelsbanken and I was very successful as a corporate manager. I had a really close female professional network around me, and we supported each other, and we did some great business looking after businesses locally.
Yeah.
So when we've started to talk about, looking more so at women-led and women-owned businesses at UKEF, I guess I naturally gravitated towards it, and really become quite heavily involved. It's been a real year of finding our feet. I would say we've been working with different organisations, so Invest in Women Task Force, Organisation for Women in International Trade, also really closely with the banks on their female agenda. So we've been finding our feet a little bit, finding out what works, what groups, networking, what's good for us to be involved in. And then we've come to a bit of a pinnacle almost at the minute as we go into the end of our first financial year with this objective. And as you know, Roxanne, we're going to be hosting a Northern Women in Business reception in Leeds on the 20th of March.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to joining you. It sounds like a great event, and now thank you for asking me to be involved with that. Obviously, export finance is really important for all UK businesses, regardless of gender, sector. How do you feel that export can help female-founded businesses to grow?
Well, naturally, I mean, we tend to see that businesses who export are more profitable and they grow faster. So, it's a case of really we're here to support SMEs, and within that, those female-owned businesses, female-owned or led businesses. We tend to look at a couple of areas, or a lot of our conversations, when we're talking to exporters, be it female-owned or otherwise, it's very much around supporting with working capital and around cash flow needs, and also around managing the risk of not getting paid. But absolutely, export can be a key area in absolutely growing your business, increasing your profitability.
Yeah, absolutely. So, from a female founder perspective, obviously there's a whole layer of additional challenges that female businesses face that we all know are really well documented. Lack of awareness, education of the things that are out there to help, lack of funding lines, supply chain finance, everything that can be plugged in and out and is available to support them. Obviously, we've got our partnership with yourselves and Female Founder Finance. How do you see a rise in women-led businesses scaling through export? Do you think 2025 is going to be the year for things to change, or do you think it's going to see more of a steady, slow growth?
Steady away, to be quite honest with you. I mean, as I said, this is our first year of really focusing on this, this specific area. And
Yeah.
prior to that, we didn't actually have a data capture tool in place where we could say, yeah, X amount of the SMEs that we've supported are female-led or female-owned. But we've been looking at that. We've now got some stuff in place. And this year, so that's as of 1st of April 24, our financial year ends at 31st of March 25 this year. We know that 18% of the businesses that we have supported, or of the SMEs that we have supported, are actually female-led or owned. I think I generally get a feeling that there's an increase as well, because if you asked me to think about, just off the top of my head, what some of the female businesses that we've supported, I can certainly give 5 or 6 names almost immediately without referring to records. And so it feels as though it's moving in the right direction. I mean, for us at UK Export Finance, a big part of what we do in our role is raising awareness. We've got 24 export finance managers who work throughout the UK, and a big part of what they do is, well, obviously they support exporters, but they also really raise awareness that UKEF exists as a government department and
Yeah.
can support businesses when they're looking to export.
Yeah, and I think that's really key. Obviously, we all know that women are more relationship based when they're seeking people to help them. I think the fact that you've got the regional managers on the ground, you've got somebody in each area that does have the ability to go and spend time with the business owners, I think that's really crucial, like you said, to help with raising awareness and the understanding of the support that you can provide. as a government department is really really vital to help to drive the message that export is it could be achievable for your business if you've just got a little bit more support and awareness of what's out there.
Yeah, I think that, you know, female owned or otherwise, as an SME, people tend to put the export category into like too difficult to look at. But there's loads of support out there. I mean, from a point of view of starting off in international trade, you've got the Department for Business and Trade, whom we work very closely with, as another government organisation. They've got international trade advisors throughout the length and breadth of the UK, who can give really good advice on finding new customers, getting into new markets, things to look out for. There's export champions, as part of the Department for Business and Trade, businesses that have scaled up, that have gone into export for the first time. So they're on hand to give advice to, businesses that haven't gone international, at this moment in time. If you're looking at regulatory or, queries around paperwork in terms of international trade, you've got your local chambers of commerce, who can be really helpful. And then, finance wise, you've got us at UKEF. We also work really closely with British Business Bank.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, maybe there's support to be offered from the likes of, well, what was UK Infrastructure Bank but is now the National Wealth Fund. So in terms of government support, be it that you're starting out and you're talking to Department of Business and Trade, or you've got more of a finance need, UK Export Finance, British Business Bank, and as I say, National Wealth Fund potentially.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the support is out there, and we just need to keep driving the message, don't we? That there are things out there that can help you to do it. I mean, I know you've got some great case studies and examples of businesses that you've helped. If you'd like to share one or two of those with us, just to try and use as a real life example of how UK Export Finance have helped.
Yeah, I thought long and hard. Well, we've got a couple of really, well, there's loads of case studies I could have picked up on, but I've chosen two real opposite ends of the spectrum just to show that, there's a real misconception that UK Export Finance only deal with the bigger companies, and we absolutely don't. We really play in that SME space. So I'll start off with a business that's on that bigger end. So it's a business called DEA Aviation. It's Nottingham based, so it's very local to us. And the director and chief finance officer there, Joe Allen, we've been working very closely with Joe and DEA and their bank Santander. I mean, this is a multi-million pound turnover company. It deals in aerial data capture. So for want of they're up there in planes doing the surveys and so on. So multi-million pound turnover business, already a successful business, but there was an increased interest from overseas, more overseas orders, and they needed some investment to be able to deal with that increased demand, if you like. UKEF working together, as I said, with Santander, we've put in place a multi-million pound facility to support the expansion and the growth of that business.
Yeah.
So that's one that I can think of on the larger end, and specifically where we've worked with quite a high profile, capable female, which is great to see, isn't it, Roxanne? I love it.
It is great to see, yeah.
And then at the S of the SME, so that smaller end of the spectrum, but absolutely no less important, I'll highlight a business. It's called Slime Party. It's Barnsley based, so again really local for us. And the director there, a lady called Ruby Sheldon. So it's kids stuff. It's slime and all the like play kind of stuff. And Ruby started out at a kitchen table and also kids parties and stuff, but began to get some success internationally. And she's grown to a point now where she's dealing with retailers in toys in all sorts of different international destinations, some of the biggest toy retailers in the world, really. When we first met Ruby in 2023, her turnover was 150k.
Yeah.
So, really within that S of SME. And the facility that we did with her, it was provided by Newable, who are a non-bank financial institution,
Yeah.
easy for me to say, that we work with. So Newable did the facility, we provided the guarantee, and it was a 55k facility. So, you know, two absolute opposite ends of the spectrum there in terms of the size of the business that we deal with, but both with very credible female leaders, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic, brilliant. So I love I get the whole slime party concept. I've got a 6-year-old, so yeah, I absolutely understand the need for things like that, and obviously having the ability to sell that product internationally is fantastic for children all around the world. Can you just explain to everybody that's listening a little bit about how your guarantee works with the 80%, because I know that's something that we get asked quite a lot at Female Founder is, well, I've seen it advertised but I don't really understand, so does UK Export Finance give me 80% of the money? And I'm like, no, that's not really, they don't give you the cash, that's not how it works. So can you just explain kind of how your guarantee system works with the funders that you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. Because as you say, there is a massive misconception around it. So we work very closely with some of the main banks. So, you know, you likes of Barclays, HSBC, Lloyds, NatWest, Santander, Virgin Money. In terms of non-bank financial institutions, I've mentioned Newable. We
Yeah.
are looking to onboard more Newables. So the way that it works is it's down to the bank or the financial institution to lend. They lend the money. We don't provide grants at UK Export Finance, and we don't do the lending.
Yeah.
So the bank would lend the money, and we step in and provide an 80% guarantee. And then the bank or the financial institution takes the risk on the other 20%. So I guess where it comes into play is if a business was to go to their bank and they're looking for some trade finance facilities, you know, be it a trade loan, be it a bond, your bank is going to underwrite that, and they're going to be looking for security. So if a bank can't quite get comfortable with the risk of that associated with that business, or with the tangible security that is available, that's where we can step in and provide a government guarantee of up to 80%. And as I said, then the bank will take on the additional 20. So that's kind of in a nutshell how it works.
Okay, thank you. From a practical perspective for female founders, at what stage do you think businesses should be looking to start thinking about export finance? Is it a case of forward planning? We all know that women like to have all of the answers before they make a decision. Or do you find that more often than not, it's kind of a bit of a last minute rush going, oh, I've got this opportunity, I've done this, how on earth am I going to fund it?
Yeah. We get a bit of both, and I would say the sooner the better, really. So, you know, if when we deal with two main areas, I think I said earlier, we deal with basically working capital and also ensuring that you get paid. So with working capital, for instance, if you're trading overseas, generally your working capital cycle is going to be longer. So you've won a contract, you are purchasing raw product, and then it goes into production, you've got all your production costs, and if you're going overseas, you're going to have your shipping cost as well. And then depending on what terms you're trading on, with your buyer, it could be 30, 60, 90 days on open account. You know, you can end up with maybe a trade cycle that goes from maybe 90 days up to, say, 120 days. So the exporter needs to be able to fund that in terms of cash from their business. So that's one area of need. And then secondly, as we've touched on, you know, new country, new customer, am I going to get paid? Where a business can't get insurance in the private market if they're turned down, we can look at it to see if potentially we can do it. But that doesn't mean that we're going to necessarily insure anything, you know, from a risk perspective.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
you know, sometimes when private market won't do it, we can do it. And we can put a policy in place for up to 95% of the contract value. So those are kind of the two main areas. Now, in terms of when to look at that, the sooner the better. Because if there is cost associated with a working capital facility or with an insurance policy, obviously that needs to be taken into account when you're looking at your profit margin, and can absolutely make the difference between a deal being profitable or non-profitable. So yeah, we see people who can be very last minute. They've won a contract, they know that they've not got the cash to fund it, and it's all hands on deck. So I think the sooner that somebody will come forward and say, hey, I'm thinking of this and this is what I think I'm going to need, can we take a look at it? It just gives everybody a little bit more time to consider.
Yeah, it's time to put a more sustainable plan in place for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you have any specific advice that you would give to female founders who are looking to break into international markets?
Ooh, you mean kind of in terms of top tips sort of stuff? Or,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I love this. Top tips. I would say 3 top tips. I think if you've not exported before, I think absolutely get in touch with Department for Business and Trade. As I said before, they're going to be able to tell you or give you some information on markets, customers, what sort of things to look out for. They do lots of events that really focus in on, it could be Caribbean and America, or, Indo-Pacific, whatever it might be. So you can get some really focused events and access to export champions, as I said before. So I think get in touch with DBT. I think plan in advance, as we've just said. Think about what your cash needs are going to be. And if you are uncertain, ask your bank, or, ask somebody like yourself, Roxanne. So, we've partnered up with Female Founder Finance. When banks can't support, we've got a network of brokers, so finance brokers and trade finance brokers that we work with and we can refer on to. So, plan in advance. Think about what you need. Talk to your bank. Talk to somebody like yourself. It is absolutely key. And then I think my third one would be network. And network and mentorship, really. And I'm a massive fan of network. And as I said earlier, particularly a female network. Attending events, being up to speed on LinkedIn, keeping in touch with like Female Founder Finance, UKEF, Department for Business and Trade, Organisation for Women in International Trade. Follow your local Chamber of Commerce. They always have an international team generally. And just the more support groups really that you can find to deal with. And I'm going to take an opportunity at this point again to plug our 20th of March, Northern Women in International Trade in Leeds. But it's just an opportunity to meet other like-minded females and a bit of experience, people who haven't yet exported, right through to people who been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on all three of those points. And we say every day, you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know.
So having the network and the support systems around you is the best way to speak to women that have exported and they've got real life stories to tell and the challenges that they've been through, and they can then use that advice and information to help businesses that perhaps are going on that expert journey but have not really got any kind of real life experience, or they've not seen any trip hazards, or they've not been through the process themselves. So I think having that network and the support and the mentorship of women who are like-minded, women always, from our experience, they want to genuinely help each other. They really do. And I think that's why female networking specifically is great for female-led businesses.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm a huge advocate for it, and I think that's probably why naturally, we've like really struck up quite a strong working relationship quite quickly. And I
Yeah.
mean, just for anybody that's listening today, just to put a bit of background on kind of how we started working together. As I said, we, at UKEF, primarily we work with the banks, but if the banks don't want to lend to a business, as I said, we can look to refer to, other finance professionals such as yourself. Now, we've been looking at female-led and female-owned businesses, as I said, this year, really focusing in on that as part of our drive with SMEs, really. And I sort of sat back and thought, all of the brokers that we work with are guys. And then about the same time, as you know, Paul Tandy, who's one of my export finance managers from, down in Nottingham area, Paul just said, "Oh, I've met Roxanne Goodman, female founder," and kind of the rest, as they say, is history. So, I
Yeah.
mean, for you now we've got like that safe space, I guess. Any females that we're working with who might be a little bit uncertain around export and around finance, we can refer on to you, and then you will refer on, to a relevant female. So yeah,
Yeah.
works really well for us. And I mean, I know we've put a couple of things your way so far that you've looked at, and then you've referred a couple of businesses back with us. So, well, just looking forward to supporting more and more female-led and owned businesses with you as the years go on, Roxanne.
Yes, definitely. Yes, yeah. Obviously, I was introduced to Paul from HSBC, another great female advocate bank. I know they've got a female founder target that they want to get money out the door to female-led businesses as well. So it's all about the ecosystem collaborating, say referring, networking, and working together to support the businesses that need the help. That genuinely makes every day doing what we do so worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think there's great awareness, be it female founder, be it ethnic minority founded. And as I touched on earlier, kind of how much do you want to look in this space, disability owned business, ex-military personnel owned business. It's a big topic. And at the minute I absolutely do it within the rest of my day job, but you could focus on it 100% full time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. That's a wrap for this episode. We hope you're feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to champion more female-led businesses. If you out there listening have loved today's conversation, then don't forget to subscribe and follow so that you don't miss any future episodes. We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to join the conversation, leave a review, share this episode with your network, and connect with us on Instagram at Female Founder Finance. Every listen, share, and comment helps us to shine a bigger spotlight on female founder businesses and drive real change for the UK economy. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Marie.
Thanks, Roxanne.
Thank you.